An annual festival celebrating the literary community. It is about to return, coming up in just a couple days. It's the Black Writers Weekend. It's back in Atlanta. It's coming up this weekend, and it is a festival that brings together writers, readers, and all sorts of creative people from all across the country and brings them right here to Metro Atlanta. The event runs from Friday to Sunday, and we are joined right now by Tamika Newhouse, who is the founder of Black Writers Weekend. Tamika, thank you for being with us. Congratulations on another year of the festival coming up. So let's start with this. It's been running for a number of years now. Take us back to the very beginning. What inspired you to start this event, and what do you hope people get out of it when they come?
Well, you know what? Thank you so much for having me on first and foremost. It's always a pleasure when I get a chance to just talk about the work that I do. But it started because what I wanted did not exist. I wanted to be on the main stage. I wanted people to know about my own books. I wanted the opportunities to be read and to be known about. And because I didn't see it, and there were not a lot of opportunities out there for independent writers, I created a platform called Black Writers Weekend. And ultimately, writers they get the resources they need. They can pitch their projects. They can get book deals. They can get financing for their films. Ultimately, it is an opportunity for writers to come, grow, connect, build relationships, and of course, get their books discovered.
It sounds like a little bit networking, a little bit creative inspiration, and a lot of celebrating of literary work. When you look back on what has now been, if I'm reading my notes right, 10 years of the festival, how has it grown from when you started it to where it is now?
Yeah, it has been. Now I've been hosting it in Atlanta a little over 10 years, but I started in San Antonio in 2010. And what I have is essentially curating these experiences. It evolved over time. When I came into this industry, it was like me and maybe one other person. But it was always like book festivals where you go get your book signing, the author readings, and it was those traditional formats. But I wanted to create something that was more engaging, more so like you're experiencing the story, you're experiencing the writer. So I involve music and food and conversations and parties and not just writers, but those that are in that space. So influencers, publishers, acquisition editors, all of the above, kind of just creating this creative hub. And it evolved into kind of what you see today, to more where it's 3 days. It's over 700 people that's coming out to this year's festival. And I want to say that first year, I probably had about 50 people. So it really, really grew, y'all. It grew into something I never really imagined. And it's wonderful. It's very, very fulfilling.
50 people up to 700 plus. I think that's called exponential growth. And we're wishing you all the best for this weekend, too. I don't need to tell you this, you know this, but for other folks who are out there and maybe aren't quite as plugged into the reading community, the writing community, the literary community, there are lots of components and different cultures and groups and people who are involved in kind of the broader book world. What does it
Yeah.
mean to have this event specifically geared towards Black writers?
It means a lot because I mean, it's the history of our country is, we know the history of our country, and we know that we had to fight for a lot of our own rights to just be, to create, to own the spaces that we're in. And so now we have so many, I mean, hundreds of Black writers and other minority groups that are publishing their projects or putting out their films, and they're able to earn from their own creativity. And it was something unheard of. Normally, back years ago, you would have one author that was able to get that type of experience or that opportunity. But now there are hundreds, and a lot of them are actually activating their own dreams. They're not waiting for a book deal. They're not waiting for someone to give them the financing for their projects. They're actually self-creating, and they're figuring out the steps and the way to make it work. So it is almost like a full circle moment from being told that we couldn't go to certain places to now we are owning these places, to where there are certain books that are being banned, to now we are putting out our own books and creating our own history. So there is it's a lot of things and a lot of growth that's being happening over the past several years, and a lot of people are really kind of just taking ownership to their own journeys, and that in itself is worth being celebrated.
You're somebody who's obviously deeply intertwined with reading and writing, with creativity. And it'll come as no surprise. You know this. There's a lot of conversation in the culture right now about the state of America as a reading nation, as a nation engaged in books. And some reports, they talk about the rise and the growing influence of book talk, and people are becoming hardcore heavy readers. There are other reports out there that indicate that as a pastime, reading is declining. You're in the midst of all of this. How are we doing as a culture that reads books and writes books?
Well, reading is not declining. I think that sometimes society tries to categorize some literature as not novels, like that's not a proper book because it's a part they're writing about a world they may not understand. But if from that world and I'm writing about that world, then that world is real and it's true because people are experiencing it. And also too, there are hundreds of events now that are being produced that are centered around reading and literary arts and filmmaking, way more than what it used to be. And you'll have several events every month that's being curated and being produced. It's creating those platforms. So to say people aren't reading is really not true. You'll see there's been a new wave of independent bookstores that are opening. Barnes and Nobles at one point was closing, now they're reopening. There's so many platforms that are distributing films now, multiple platforms. Tubi is one of those leading platforms that is amplifying independent filmmakers. You recently had the Black Romance Book Festival that went crazy viral, over 3,000 readers, which is unheard of for an event that's geared towards readers. And so, yes, people are reading. And I think the internet and social media has really kind of bridged that gap for us to see, hey, they're reading these books, they want this type of content, they're interested in this author, and it's a domino effect. And it's beautiful to see. But we are reading and we're reading in waves.
All right, Tamika, we're short on time here. I want to ask you one last question, kind of two
Okay.
last questions, but we're going to put them together here because I think they're both important. One, what do you hope people get out of this weekend? And two, where can they go to get all that who, what, when, where information? Is there a website or some other
Yeah.
resource they can go to that if they want to come out, they can know all they need to know to make sure they get there?
Yeah, so the website, which is Black Writers Weekend, that's BLACK Writers with an S, weekend.com, also on Instagram, TikTok. Everything is on the website from the schedule to the talent. We have almost 100 speakers. Again, we have over 700 people that are registered. And we try to make it very affordable because we understand the economy that we're in. So the tickets are very, 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 very cheap. And there is 3 days of programming. It's so much that you can absolutely do and partake in, from film fest to book signings to author conversations to even parties and mixers that we're doing that night. So there's a lot for you to enjoy. And ultimately, you'll be able to build relationships with other readers. Find book club presidents, discover your next big read, discover your next greatest filmmaker. It's so much that you can embody and enjoy, that I'm pretty sure that there's a little bit for everybody. So blackwritersweekend.com is where you can go and get all that information. Everything kicks off this Friday, July 31st. From August 1st and August 2nd, we will be downtown Atlanta off of Auburn Avenue at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. We'll also be at the Laudermilk Conference Center as well. And we're just going to have a good time. I'm excited. This is my 17th, no, 18th year producing events in itself. And I'm just excited about the growth in the love for reading. Thank you so much for having me.
18 years going strong. Here's to another great one this weekend and many more to come. Tamika Newhouse, the founder of Black Writers Weekend. Tamika, thank you very much for your time and your perspective. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.